overview of Revelation. Let's do that. And I'm going to make it quick. Hopefully, the voice don't go away. It's trying to. When we go to Revelation, we know it is written to those people for that time. Why do we know it? Because it tells you. Very first sentence. Show unto his servants things which will happen 2,000 years in the future. No, it's not what it says. Things which must shortly come to pass. We also know when we look at the very end of the book, it tells us the time frame. It says, tell unto his servants the things which must shortly be done. That's at 6 and at 10. Do not seal up the prophecies of this book, the time is at hand. This is in contrast to Daniel, where Daniel was told to seal up the prophecies because the time is not yet. Although Christ quoted Daniel in Matthew 24, so obviously the time was during that time. But here he's told, don't seal it up because it's going to happen shortly. Time is at hand. And then you go down here to 22. Here's testify of these things. Surely I come quickly. So there you got 4 places, the very first sentence of the book, 3 places in the very last of the book, saying that, time is now. It's going to happen here in just the shortest little bit. So, yeah. And what are we told in the book? What are we going to see? He's going to write down things which he sees, the things that are, and the things which must be hereafter. So he's going to write down things in the past, present, and in the future. That said, I'm not going to go over the judgment of the churches, but I'm going to start here with the seals. And let's look at the seals. Let's look at a little overview. Here you got the seals. They start with the death of Christ, and they end with the 7th seal being silence. At the 6th seal, you got Judah falls, great day of the wrath has come, and then you got salvation to the Jew and Gentile first, and there's a scene in heaven where these people have salvation. That's a quick overview of the seals. Now, I know it is during the time of Christ's death because it tells us. When you go down here, it talks about there stood a lamb as if it had been slain. And before I start that, let me say this. If you talk to any historian and say, hey, there's this book and it's got 7 seals on it during the time of Christ, what would it be? Oh, it's got 7 seals. That would be a last will and testament. And they would be telling you that with all certainty. This is the last will and testament of Christ after he was slain. And you go down here, it says, for thou wast slain. Who's worthy to take the book and open it? For thou wast slain. So this is his last will and testament after he was killed. That's the time frame. And then you go down here and it says, yeah, all this stuff is going to happen. So let's look and see what happens during the seals. The first 4 seals are the 4 horsemen. The 5th seal is looking at the people who were martyred, who died for the testimony. They're kind of freaking out a bit. Say, hey, when are we going to get judgment? And they're like, he's like, yeah, just chill for a bit because there's going to be more audience coming. Just chill. The 6th seal, it says, there's a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair. The moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell to the earth. This is where Jerusalem falls, or Judea falls. I know that because it's the language that's used in Old Testament. Like here, where Egypt falls, it says, I will make the stars dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. Then you have other places such as Jerusalem, or Jeremiah 31 rather, talking a time during the new covenant, which will be during this time frame. And it says, the sun for a light by day, ordinance of the moon for a light by night, and the stars, moon and stars for a light by night. When those depart, then the seed of Israel shall also cease from being a nation before me forever. So it's the same language. Judea, Israel, it's going to fall right here because the sun is gone, the moon's gone, the stars are gone. And then it says, for the great day of his wrath is come, who shall be able to stand? So you got 4 horsemen, you got some people who have been martyred. Jerusalem falls, or Judea falls, the kingdom falls, and then the day of the Lord is come. And then when you get over here, it talks about there are all these servants. There are 144,000 of Israel, and then you got this great multitude from vast a lot of nations. This is salvation to the Jew first and Gentile later. To the Jew first, then to the Gentile. That's what that is. Great mystery solved. And that goes on once again about people who are in the tribulation. They're says, one of the elders answered, said to me, what are these which are arrayed in white robes, and where did they come? And he says, hey, John, you know us. You know who these people are. They are they which come out of great tribulation. Their robes are washed. John knows them because, if you go to Revelation 1 and you drop down, it tells you, I, John, also your brother and companion in tribulation. So there it is. So he knows these people. Where was I? 6. Was I in Revelation 6? Nope, I was 1 up. So, let's see. So that's what's going on. He's in tribulation. He's like, you know them. You know they're in tribulation. And he says, these saved people, the Jew first, then Gentile, they will hunger no more, thirst no more, neither have light on them that will give any heat that will be hot. For the Lamb is in the midst of the throne, shall feed them, shall lead them into living fountains of water. God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. So they're in heaven, right? And then you got here the 7th seal, and there is silence. So right there you go. You got this. It's at the death, it's the time frames at the death of Christ. Judah falls, great day of wrath comes. Then you got salvation to the Jew first and Gentile, and then there's the scene in heaven. 7th seal, then there's silence. There it is. Afterward comes the trumpets. Now with the trumpets, here's an overview of it. It starts with turmoil in Judea. The 4th trumpet comes, and then you got a third part of Judea falls. This will be prior to the Herodian dynasty. At the 5th trumpet, Rome is there, but it's before Rome is known as a nation. It's just a city-state. At the 6th trumpet, the Euphrates is being prepared. 7th trumpet prophecy has been restored. John and Christ are killed. Christ reigns forever. And then you have judgment is coming for Jerusalem. So let's look at this. That's the overview. First trumpet sounds. Then you got all this blood and stuff going on. Second one, mountains burning. Third, there's a great star from heaven. There fell a great star from heaven, and it's wormwood. So everybody's bitter. Everybody's on edge. And what can I say? How can I say that it is, skipper. How can I say it's when a third of Judea falls? Well, right here with the next sentence, with the next one. It says, and the 4th angel sounded, and a third part of the sun was smitten, and a third part of the moon was down, and a third part of the stars were also down and darkened. So a third of it falls. This will go right in line with, let's see if I can find it, of course, the early Roman period where Pompey the Great is. They had this Maccabees were going on and interfering with everything. They call out to Rome before Rome is a nation. This is before they had a king. So you have Pompey come along. He seizes Jerusalem, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to take this land with me. Ha ha ha, suckers. But when he does that, he goes into the temple. He sees all the gold and silver, and he doesn't take it. Instead, he's like, yeah, this temple needs to be cleaned and your services need to start tomorrow. And then he leaves. So he doesn't plunder nothing. Nothing's failed. He just takes a third part of the land. History. Let's see. Now there's going to be coming some woes. Woes are coming. The fifth angel sounded. There was a star from heaven fell to the earth, and he was given a key to the bottomless pit. And this is Rome here. This is where he got Rome. He opened the bottomless pit, and the smoke came out of the pit, and the smoke was a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reasons of the smoke and pit. And out of this come the locust and all the things that come with it, the tormented. So Rome is coming. This is what I was talking about over here, where Rome came and their people were tormented. This is the beast that comes out of the bottomless pit. But notice he's not called a beast here. It's just the people of Rome. It's not a beast. Beasts are nations. This is before they had a king. Let's see. They're tormented for 5 months. That goes along the same time with Pompey being there and all that stuff. They had a Greek named Apollyon. There you go. Same thing. One was past, two more come. Now the sixth angel sounds. And notice what happens. The sixth angel trumpet goes on. They loose the four angels which are bound to Euphrates. And when they're loose, they are prepared for an hour, a day, and a month, and a year to slay a third part of men. So notice that Euphrates is getting ready at that point. That's important. You'll see that coming up again. Let's see. That's the sixth angel. And notice all this time the people of Rome are coming over and doing their business to Judea, but they're not repenting. They're not repenting or anything. They're still doing their same thing, their sorceries, their fornication. They're still taking part of that. And at this time you see a little book. Revelation 10, there's this little book open. And it's like, yeah, what's this little book? The little book is prophecy. We know that. It's over here talking about the seven thunders as prophecies, it's sealed up, we don't know what it is. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, he shall begin to sound, and the mysteries of God shall be finished, as he declared to his servants, the prophets. So this is to the prophets. Prophecies become a thing. Now, from the time of the last prophet in the Old Testament till time of John the Baptist was somewhere between 400 and 500 years. God was silent, didn't say a word until John the Baptist. That's why people took notice of John the Baptist. God's speaking to us. Something big's happening, something big. God's speaking to us. So when the prophecies started happening with John the Baptist, something's going on, something's getting big. The prophecy's been unleashed. And down here on the little footnote, it says that he gave it to John, said, here, eat it. It'll be bitter. It'll be sweet in your mouth, but it'll be bitter in your body, in your belly. It's sweet. It sounds sweet. It seems so sweet. But in reality, it's really hard on the people themselves. That's what prophecy is. So he said to me, thou shalt prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. So the prophets are going to come about. So John the Baptist and all that's going to happen. And we see that with the very next chapter. Right here it said there were two witnesses. Now people would generally say, yeah, Elijah is one of the witnesses, spirit of Elijah. But who's this other one? Oh, it's a great mystery. I don't know. I can't tell. Well, we know who it is in Revelation 1 because it tells us who it is. If you go down here to 1 and 5, and from Jesus Christ, who is the faithful witness. Ta-da! Mystery solved. So you got Christ and John the Baptist, who are the two olive trees, the two candlesticks. They're the two witnesses. They were the two prophets who came about after that 400 to 500 year silence. When prophecy began, here you go. And they finished their testimony. The beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them. Oh, wait, before I start. It says, if any man hurt them, they will be killed in the like manner. Christ was crucified, John the Baptist was killed by a steel instrument. That's kind of important later. Same way you got the beast come out of the bottomless pit. That's Rome once again. And they're going to make war against him and kill him. That's what they're going to do. Now you might say, but Rose, wasn't it somebody else that killed him? Was it Rome? Yes, it was Rome, because we see over here, if we go to Agrippa Antipas, who is a Roman citizen, who is the son of Herod the Great, he is the one who is known for his role in the execution of John the Baptist and Jesus Christ, Jesus of Nazareth. There you go. So that's how the beast, that's how Rome gets his little hand in it. And their bodies will lay in the street of Sodom and Egypt. That is Jerusalem. Jerusalem is known by Sodom, and it's known by Egypt, and also known as Babylon, Babylon the Great. You can see that all over Old Testament. And then when that happens, they're all excited. Hey, yeah, you killed him. Yeah, leave him there. How about that? 2 prophets tormented in the earth and all this. Just leave him. And when they heard the great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither, and they ascended into heaven in a cloud, and their enemies were left behind. In the same hour, a great earthquake, a tenth of the city fell, and the earthquake slain a man. Remnant gave glory to heaven. Now this is a woe. When Christ and John the Baptist were killed, people were, that's a woe of heaven. When the 7th angel sounded, there were great voices in heaven saying, The kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. After the death of Christ, we are free from sin, and Christ got all the world, to the Jew first and the Gentile. All the world become Christ. Now when that happened, and they realized of what they done, when the accuser realized what he did, he was angry. Wrath had come. It's time of dead, and they shall be judged. So he was very upset at what was going on. They wanted to destroy it. So that, like I said, this is the overview where you had the turmoil in Judea. A third of Judea falls. Rome is a nation. This is before Rome is a nation, rather. Euphrates is being prepared. Prophecy restored. John the Baptist and Christ are killed. Christ reigns forever. Now we're coming to the judgment of Jerusalem. And that's what these right here are talking about. Revelation 12. Let's look at Revelation 12. What's going on here? Here's an overview. You got your judgment of Jerusalem. And it starts with the people of God are bearing Christ. Christ is coming into the world through the people of God. This is prior to Rome having all authority. It only has 7 crowns. At this point, Christ is resurrected. Christians are persecuted by Roman authority. Later on, the beast gets 10 crowns. The beast from the land has 2 horns from Rome. And at this point, Nero is Caesar. Judea gets gathered in a winepress. You have 7 bowls of wrath being poured out in Jerusalem. Judgment comes during the time of 8 Caesars. Jerusalem falls under Vespasian and his son Titus. Satan is cast to the bottomless pit. Then you got your first resurrection. You got your 1,000-year reign. You got Satan released. Then he tries to circle the saints. Then you got your second resurrection. With Satan going into the lake of fire, people being judged in the second resurrection, and hell and death cast into the lake of fire. That's, of course, in chapter 20. But we're going to look at this right here, right now. How do I know this is talking about when the people of God, Israel, bringing out Christ being born? Well, it tells us that's what's going on. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and under her feet was the moon, and upon her head was a crown of 12 stars. The sun, that shouldn't be a great mystery. God said to his people, you're a light into the world. Old Testament, God says, that his people will shine with the light of his glory and of his grace. So that's no big mystery. Moon under her feet, that tells you what season we're in. The moon tells you the season. And the crown of 12 stars, this is coming from the 12 tribes. This is coming from Israel. And there appeared a wonder in heaven, another wonder, a great dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. So Rome has not been given every bit of its authority. There are still 3 crowns missing. Because later on it says there's 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns. Well, this is during the time where you had, prior to the Herodian dynasty, Herod starting to come in. You had 3 people who were still kings of the area. All sovereignty had not been given away to Rome. They still had a little bit of sovereign power, but not much. But all sovereignty had not been given away to Rome. You had Herod the Great in place. And Herod the Great was not a Roman citizen. His sons were, but he was not. Let me also point that out. And he drew his tail, a third parted the stars in heaven, cast them down to the earth, and the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to devour her child as soon as born. And she brought forth a man-child who was ready to rule all nations. And then, of course, you got Herod the Great that slaughtered the innocents, and then Christ and Mary and Joseph had to go to Egypt during that time, remember? This is during that time frame. It's right there, plain as my face on my head. It's right there. So anyway, he's going to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to God and to his throne. So this is after his death, burial, and resurrection, ascension into the heavens. The woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared for God, that she should be there for 1,260 days. This is the people of God. The people of God had fled this point. Let's see. The dragon is cast down. He don't like it. He's upset. He knows his time is short after he's cast down. And the great dragon was cast out, serpent, the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our Lord God and power of his Christ. The accuser of the brethren is cast down, which accuseth them before God day and night. So this is where you got salvation after the death, burial, and resurrection. Wait a minute, Rose. Are you saying the dragon is Satan and is also Rome? Well, that shouldn't be to no surprise because you had places like here talking about where Egypt is going to go down. How does God use it? He uses it with this, he takes it down with the sword of Babylon. The accuser, Satan, is doing the same thing. He's going to take down Christ, going to take down his people using the nation of Rome, the people of Rome. So it's no big stretch. So Satan's cast down and he's mad. It says, Woe to the people of the earth and sea, for the devil's come down to you having great wrath because he knows his time is short. But they're rejoicing in heaven because, thank goodness he's gone, right? And then you go on where it says the devil was going to flood them out, going to get rid of them. The earth helped out and opened up. So the earth was protecting the people of God. And then it says, and the dragon was wrought with a woman, that's the people of God, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which kept the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So here you got Roman authority going out, persecuting the Christians. Revelation 13. Notice this is different. This is a different time frame because the beast that come out of the sea has 7 heads, 10 horns, and now it has 10 crowns. So at this time frame, Rome has come into all authority. There you go. And it talks a little bit more about it. He says one of the heads was wounded to death, but it came back to life. This is talking about Caesar. Caesar was killed. This was before Rome was a nation. Caesar was going toward kingship. And then the Senate was like, oh, no, you don't. Chop that off. Nip that in the bud. They killed Caesar, but they got a king anyway. It became a nation anyway because Augustus was there. Augustus was his adopted son. So you kill the head and it still came back to life. No mystery. No mystery there. And when they killed the head and they killed Caesar and it came back to life with Augustus, his first king, they're like, oh, who can kill this thing? The beast is awesome. Who can make war against it? And then you see down here, it says, and behold, another beast coming out of the earth. And he had two horns like a lamb, but he spake as a dragon. This is Judea. This is Judea. The two horns like a lamb. You got, like I said, you got Herod Antipas, who's a Roman citizen, but he's also a Jewish guy. His father, Herod, was a Jew because his father was forced to become Jewish. If they lived in the land, they were forced to be Jewish. So they became Jewish. So Herod Antipas is Jewish. He's also a Roman citizen. And then also this guy, Herod Agrippa, who is Herod's nephew, if I ain't mistaken, he's also a Roman citizen, and he's also Jewish. So there's your beast coming out of the land. That's Judea. And they got two horns like a lamb. They're like a lamb because they're Jewish, but they speak as a dragon because they're Roman. Going on down, here's wisdom, and here's the time frame we're at. During this time where all this stuff is happening, it says this is where you can't go into the place, buy or sell, and all this stuff. And the time frame is, we know it's during the time of Nero because it says, here's wisdom, let him have understanding. Count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. Its number is 600, 306. There were two languages that this book was written in. In one language, it says 666. And if you do the numbers, add up the letters, and you calculate it, it comes up to Nero. The other language, where it's 616, if you take the numbers of the letters there and you calculate it, it also comes up to Nero. This is during the time of Nero. So all this stuff happening, we are here, Nero. And that goes along with the beast that comes out of the land. All that stuff just falls right into place. Going on. We get to 14. There's a new song sung before the throne. They are which not defiled of women, they are virgins, they follow the Lamb wherever they go. These are redeemed among men, being the first fruits unto God and unto the Lamb. These are the people who are Christ. These are the people who got salvation. And he's saying with a loud voice, fear God, give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. So we're coming upon the judgment. And it says, Babylon is fallen, the great city, because she made all nations drink the wine and wrath of her fornication. So Babylon is down, and God's gone, Babylon's down because you got all this stuff going on. There's no longer a king coming up in Jerusalem. That's coming up shortly. But here you got Babylon's going down. He's gonna give it to it. And you see here, Son of Man having a sharp sickle, sticking in, getting the harvest because it is ripe. So he's killing off the people in Judea and killing off a bunch of people in Jerusalem. They're all getting bloody here. God is really starting to take them out. 15. Going on down. It said, they sung a song of Moses, the servant of God, sing the song of the Lamb. And he says, I looked, behold, the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven was open. This is the same thing previous, where it talks about the temple being open in the previous chapter that we was looking at. Now notice here there are 7 golden vials. Now these are the vials of wrath he's going to pour out on Jerusalem. 16. The first went, poured it upon the earth. Second was on the sea, come as blood. Third, it was rivers, fountains of water, they become blood. And then it says, yeah, this is a righteous thing to do because you have shed the blood of the saints and the prophets. So here, you drink the blood that I give you. You drink the blood of the waters. Then you got a fourth angel pouring it out upon the sun, and it was scorching men. It was scorching heat. The fifth angel poured it out upon, now notice this, poured it out on the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed for tons of pain. This is during this time right here. There was all sorts of rebellion and everything going on during this time between Nero and right here. They were in rebellion and many people are dying. They're killing many people. So this is where the beast is in pain, is full of darkness. They don't have a leader and they're going after each other. And the sixth angel poured out the vial upon Euphrates, and the water dried up, and the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. Now, Euphrates was like a big barrier, and the people of Judea and Jerusalem didn't have to worry about getting invaded from that area because they had the Euphrates. But at this point, did the river actually dry up, or did something happen? Because at this point in time, the kings were able to cross the Euphrates, and they were able to get to Judea and Jerusalem and destroy them. So either way, that happened. Before we saw they were being prepared, now it's being dried up. And it says the day of the great day of God Almighty. So now it's going to happen, right? And he pours out a vial into his air. And the great city was divided into three parts. The city of the nations fell, and great Babylon came into remembrance. That means God is, I remember you, Babylon. I remember you, Jerusalem, to give to her the cup of wine of fierceness of his wrath. And then at 17, here is the judgment of the great whore. Here it comes. And he said, he was carried away, and he saw the woman sitting upon the scarlet-colored beast. That's Rome once again. Name full of blasphemy, 7 heads, 10 horns, full authority. And yeah, she's over here drunk with the blood of the prophets. And we know this is Rome because it tells you right here in 9, and here's the mind that has wisdom. 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. Rome was known as the city of 7 hills. So this is definitely Rome. And what time frame are we talking about? Well, it gives us right here. It said there are 7 kings. 5 have fallen. One is not come, and the other comes for a short space. That'd be 7. And then the other one coming, he is of the 8. He is the 8. He's of the 7, and he goes into perdition. What's that word perdition? If we go over here to Revelation 17 and 11, we got perdition. It doesn't mean sin. It means destruction. When we actually look upon it, it says he's going to die. He's going to perish. He's going to get wasted. He's going to get wasted. He's going to be murdered. He's going to be offed. That's what's going to happen. So when we look at this, there's 5. One is, that would be Gaba. The next one to come is only going to come for a short space. He's only there for 3 months and a day. And the one who is the 8th one, who is of the 7, is going to be wasted. And there he is, murdered by Vespasian. Ta-da! Look at that. Right there, just falling right into place. So that's the time frame where we're at. That's what's going on. And it said, and they shall make war with the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord, King of kings, that they have called have been chosen and faithful, and the 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and make her desolate naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. Now the 10 horns are 10 governors. If we go over here, we count after Pontius Pilate. Now, why do we count after Pontius Pilate? Because down here it says the 10 horns are the ones that hate the whore. They hate the whore. They hate Jerusalem and Judea. They hate her. And we know it's not Pontius Pilate. We know that because when we look over here at Luke 23, during the trial of Christ, he was brought to Pilate, and then Pilate's like, no, this is Herod's jurisdiction. So he sends him to Herod. Herod is excited, and it's like, oh, good, I get to hear him talk. Christ is silent. Herod gets upset, and he sends him back to Pilate. Now notice this. In the same day, Pilate and Herod were made friends together. Before they were enemies. Now they're friends. So this is after Pilate. So after Pilate, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And looky there, there's during the time of destruction of Jerusalem. Ta-da! So there's the time frame. There's the time it's going to happen. It's going to happen after these guys, after this one goes, and Vespasian's the one who ordered the temple destroyed, and his son is the one who actually surrounded Jerusalem and destroyed Jerusalem and the temple. Now getting back to Scripture. Babylon the great is fallen. Comes tribulation and devils, hold every foul spirit, and cage of every unclean, hateful bird. So here it is. Here comes all the plagues in one day. All this stuff is going to happen. All this stuff is going to happen to Jerusalem. All this happened, and she is killed out. She's going to be no more. No more. It's going to happen. And in 19, we see the judgment of the great whore, Babylon. We see the great whore, mystery Babylon, which is Jerusalem. So we see all this stuff going on. Christ has come, made ready the marriage supper of the Lamb. Now, what is the marriage supper? The marriage supper is actually where the fowls of the air are filled with her flesh. And this is where you got, let's see, do I have it over here? Nope. It ain't there. There's other places where it talks about desolation of other cities, and the birds and the beast are going to eat well. Oh, there's wormwood, by the way. And overthrow Sodom and Gomorrah. All that. That is prophecy as well on it. Where is it? You just have to take my word on it or do a study on it yourself. But when you see the birds eating the birds and all this, and also talking about the sons, you shall eat the flesh of your sons and your daughters. It's also talking about Jerusalem. That's in several places where prophecy has been fulfilled on it. Right here it talks about this is Jerusalem. Fathers will eat the sons and all that. And that's important because it talks about in Deuteronomy that when they fall away from God, God's going to have them fall the same way they saw other nations fall. So they will have birds eating their flesh, and they will also eat their own flesh. They will eat their own children. So there you go. That will happen. And it did happen. So there you got Christ. And it says here his clothing was dipped in blood. This is, and some people want to say, yeah, this is where he was hanging on the cross. It's his own blood. No, he was hung up when he was naked. This is where he went and killed a third with the sickle, and he thrust it in because the harvest was ripe, the fruit was ripe, and the harvest was ready. This is where that happened prior when we went over that. So anyway, this is where she falls. Everything happens all at once, and the fowls of the air were filled with her flesh, because that is what the marriage supper actually is. You're not going to be in heaven. God ain't going to serve you food. This was talking about when Jerusalem fell and God filled the birds' bellies with flesh of people. And yeah, and after Jerusalem fell, after the old covenant was done away with, waxed old and went away. It was ready to wax old and go in Hebrews, and it went away here in 70 AD. When that stuff happened, then the covenant can be confirmed with many, and that's the marriage between Christ and the church. So there you go. There it is. And then when you get to Revelation 20, when that happens, when Jerusalem falls, then you have a resurrection of them who bear witness. This will be the people who was in tribulation. So when all that stuff happens, they are resurrected. There is no rapture. There's only resurrection. And he said when that happens, this is the first resurrection. But the rest of the dead didn't live again until after 1,000 years were finished. So they had 1,000 years with Christ. Before that, the dragon, Satan, was bound up for 1,000 years in a bottomless pit. After the 1,000 years, then Satan is loosed out. He goes out and starts doing the same old thing, deceiving nations, like he deceived Rome. He goes out, deceives nations, and he encircles the camp of the saints. He's getting ready to do a death blow to him. God said, that's enough of this craziness. And then everybody else is resurrected. Satan is cast into a lake of fire. Everybody else gets judgment according to their works. And then after that, you got death and hell are cast into a lake of fire. Ta-da, that's it. The rest of the book talks about what heaven is like, the bride of Christ. Let me show you the bride. And he said right here, let me show you New Jerusalem coming down from heaven as a bride adorned for her husband. Said, hey, you want to go see it? He's like, yeah. And then he goes and he looks and he sees all these wonderful foundations and all this other stuff going on and how it's a city pure of gold and all that. That is New Jerusalem. That is the bride. And then you go down here to 22, talking about the city of life where all the tears are wiped away by God. And all the servants are there with God. And he said, yeah, all this stuff must happen. It's going to happen now. The time is at hand. And all this stuff. It said, the spirit of the bride say, come, and let's heareth say, come, and I will let whoever's athirst, whoever will, take the water of life freely. Testify, every man that heareth these words of prophecy of this book. A man shall add these things. God shall add to him the plagues written in this book. Any man take away from this prophecy, God shall take away his part in the book of life. So there you go. Amen. There it is. It's done. Now we looked at this. We saw the 7 seals with the death of Christ, starting with the death of Christ, going to Judea falling, the great day of wrath, salvation to the Jew first and Gentile, and that shows them in heaven, and that ends with silence in the 7th seal. With the 7 trumpets, it starts with turmoil in Judea. 4th trumpet, a third of Judea falls. This will be prior to the Herodian dynasty. Rome comes out, that this is before he's a nation, before he has a king. And then Euphrates are being prepared. At the 7th trumpet, prophecy is restored. John the Baptist and Christ are killed. Christ reigns forever. Jerusalem coming, or judgment coming in Jerusalem. With the judgment of Jerusalem, the people of God are bearing Christ. Christ is coming through the people of God, which is Israel, Judea. Prior to Rome, this is prior to Rome having full authority. It only has 7 crowns. Christ is resurrected. Christians are prosecuted by Roman authority. The beast gets 10 crowns, full authority. It has 2 crowns from Rome. Nero is Caesar at this point. Judea is gathered in a winepress. That's where Christ first gets the blood on his clothes. Then you have 7 bowls of wrath being poured out on Jerusalem. Judgment comes. There are 8 Caesars. Jerusalem falls under Vespasian and his son Titus. Jerusalem falls the bird's feast. Satan is cast into the bottomless pit. You got the first resurrection. 1,000-year reign. Second resurrection. Satan released. Satan cast into a lake of fire. Second resurrection, people are judged. Hell and death are cast into a lake. Now, this is an overall view on a timeline of where it all happens. Like right here is the death of Christ. Right here. Right here. And then, of course, right here, Christ being born. That's a little bit before it. But here it is. Ta-da. There it is. There's Revelation. There's Revelation. There's the mystery. There's all of it. And because it tells you exactly what time frame, when you look at history, it's like, wow, it all just falls right into place. There is no future stuff. There is no, oh, is that, yeah, the Antichrist. No, right there it is. Right there it is. Right there it is with history. So, yeah. Maybe later I'll do a bigger overview talking about it and stuff, but right there it is. There it is. I want y'all to see it. And you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to worry about all this stuff. Like, oh, who's AI? Oh, is Obama the Antichrist and all this? Because there's no Antichrist. We didn't even read an Antichrist. There is no Antichrist in it. Anyway, folks, just want to point that out. And as always, please read that scripture. Have a fantastic day.